Welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast. This episode is going to be a solo one on how to conquer your deal fatigue to unlock, and pun intended, your deep wealth. Now, when it comes to capturing the best deal over any deal, and whether this be on the personal side or on the business side, two words stand between you and doing this, and it's deal fatigue. Now, let me ask you something. Have you been in deal fatigue before? If you're saying no, I want you to pause for just a moment and think back. Again, it could be something that you've purchased on the personal side, a big ticket item, a small ticket item. It doesn't really matter. After the fact, as you think about it, you're thinking to yourself, gee, why did I agree to that price or that condition? Or on the business side, did you walk away from the deal table? Or did you do a deal and afterwards you wonder to yourself, why in the world did I do it? Well, welcome, for better or worse, and usually it's worse, to the world of deal fatigue. So what exactly is deal fatigue? Deal fatigue is when either you're mentally exhausted or physically exhausted. Oftentimes it's both, and you just want to move on from the deal. You want to just get it done and over with so you can get back to whatever it is that you want to get to. You start telling yourself all these, I'll call it self-talk lies. Well, you know what? It's good enough. I don't need to have it perfect. It's good enough. Let me just sign the deal and move on. Or this is terrible. I'm going to walk away. This is the worst deal ever. Doesn't make any sense. And you walk away, and only later do you realize, wow, that was the worst thing I could have done. That was actually a pretty good deal. What did I do to myself? So that's deal fatigue. The question is, how do you get into deal fatigue? And a little bit of a spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about this here now. By the way, in the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery program, we have a special section specifically on deal fatigue. And where that came from is my own experience. Remember, I said no to a 7-figure offer. I experienced deal fatigue, lessons learned, and then I said yes to a 9-figure offer. I had that opportunity to go into deal fatigue, didn't do it, thankfully, from the strategies that were created ahead of time. And all those strategies were put into the Deep Wealth Mastery program. We focus a lot on this because it's so important. So how do you get into deal fatigue? Most buyers are terrific people and they want to work with you. You want to work with them. You'll figure things out, but that's not always the case. Some buyers very deliberately, they want to put you into deal fatigue when it comes to selling your company. Now, on the flip side, when you're the buyer, let's say you're going in to buy a big ticket item on the personal side, you're dealing with a salesperson or the sales manager, whoever it may be, they may want to put you into deal fatigue so that they can get the deal points that they want, not what you want. And deal fatigue can also happen in other areas. As an example, you want to grow the profits of your business. You want to grow your revenues. And you're speaking to a prospective client. The client says a tentative yes. Give me the paperwork. Let's go through that. And now you and the client, your lawyers and the client's lawyers, you're all going through this. And it is just a whack-a-mole. It's points here, points there. It's up and down. It's 5 steps forward, 10 steps back. And you are just getting worn down. You're tired. You just want to get this client on board. You don't want to risk losing the client. You face all this pressure on you. You start having all of this self-talk. Or even imagine the scenario where it's an existing client and it's time to renew with you, to sign that contract. And once again, the lawyers are involved. It's not so easy. All technicalities are being brought up. It's back and forth, and you are getting worn down. Sometimes the process itself, you have an overzealous lawyer on the other side. It can wear you down. Other times, it's the other side very deliberately doing this to you because they know, hey, if I can wear Jeffrey down, if I can have him emotionally tired, if I can have him physically tired, the back and forth, late night emails, long discussions, many emails, jumping through all these hoops, perhaps I can get a better deal than I could otherwise. And again, not everyone does this. How do you know, though? Does someone do this? Do they not do this? Well, the sad answer is you're not going to know until you're there. You're in the situation. But, and this is a big one, what you can do is you can protect yourself from going into deal fatigue, or recognize at least that you are going into deal fatigue and you now know what you have to do. So I'm going to share 5 strategies from the trenches. There are many, many more strategies. I picked the top strategies. We talk all about this again in a 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery program. But the first strategy, and this is one of our favorite words here at Deep Wealth, it's preparation. Why do we love preparation? Not just for deal fatigue, but really for growing your business. Later on, for having that exit, for your liquidity event, for your post-exit life. We love preparation because when preparation is done well, you're saving your health, your time, your money. You also get clarity. So when it comes to preparation for a deal, and again, it could be for a liquidity event, it could be for a client renewal, it could be for bringing on a new client, it could even be for a big ticket item on the personal side. Here's what you want to do. Strategy number one, for your preparation, you want to think about what you want and what you don't want. I'm going to use two fancy words for that. What you want, deal points. So the deal points, this absolutely must be in the deal, because if it's not in the deal, there is no deal. I'm not going to move forward with it. The other one, what you don't want, we call them no-fly zones. And so that is, if this shows up in the deal, no way, no how, it's just not going to happen, plain and simple. So there you have it, deal points and no-fly zones. So let me give you a few examples. When it comes to a liquidity event, one example may be when it comes to a no-fly zone, you may be saying to yourself, absolutely no way, I'm not having an earnout. And that's what I was like for my liquidity event. I was not going to have an earnout. If the earnout showed up in the letter of intent, that prospective buyer was told, hey, either you remove it or don't bother moving forward because you're not going to be selected for the next round. So that was one really important no-fly zone, not having an earnout that for me could not be in the deal no matter what happens. Now, what could be an example of a deal point of what you actually want to have? So a deal point for me, it was a minimum threshold of what the value of the business would be. So if the value of the business didn't meet this threshold, I would not move forward either with a liquidity event or with that prospective buyer. So again, the no-fly zone, there could not be an earnout. The deal point, there had to be a minimum threshold for the enterprise value or the value of the business. If the minimum threshold wasn't met, or if the earnout was in there would not be a deal. Now, what's nice about this, when you write down your no-fly zones, your deal points, and usually you have 3 to 5 deal points, 3 to 5 no-fly zones. Please don't make the mistake of having 50 deal points and 50 no-fly zones. That's exhausting. You're going to put yourself into your deal fatigue on your own. You don't need anyone else to do that for you. It's 3 to 5 big picture items, the really important things of no-fly zones and deal points. So why are deal points, why are no-fly zones really important? Why is your preparation in this one area important? Because what I recommend and what we do here at Deep Wealth and the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, depending on what's going on, if it's a liquidity event, years in advance of your liquidity event, you know exactly what your deal points and no-fly zones are. Now, there may be a situation where you don't have years to prepare. You have a prospective client coming aboard. You just learned about this. The meeting is going to be in, let's say, 3 days. It's not a lot of time, but regardless of what the situation is, when you know what your deal points and no-fly zones are, you're prepared. You're reducing indecision. You're preventing unnecessary delays because particularly when it comes to your liquidity event, speed always wins. You never know what tomorrow brings. Case in point, the pandemic. When the pandemic came on, wow, it came out of nowhere. The world shut down. Can you imagine if you were in a liquidity event and it was delayed a few days? Well, you lost your liquidity event. You lost your deal. So speed always wins. When you have your deal points and no-fly zones, you know exactly where you want to go and where you don't want to go. And it also shows the other side that you're prepared, you're professional. You know exactly what you want, what you don't want. They may not tell you this, but they will respect you because of that clarity. It saves everyone hassle and time, and that's very much appreciated. So step number one is preparation. It gives you clarity. It's through your deal points, no-fly zones. As far in advance as possible, you're writing them down. You're walking through each of them to yourself. If you're going into the negotiation with the team will know what the deal points and no-fly zones are. They can help you with that. They can refine that. And together you'll come up with an even better list of deal points and no-fly zones. But you know that well in advance of the meeting and when you're going to be meeting with the other side. So let's talk about strategy number 2, the stories, aka the lies that you tell yourself and that your team tells yourself. So what am I talking about here? Jeffrey, you said stories and lies. What's going on? Well, when you get into deal fatigue, you tell yourself lies to justify making a decision that you shouldn't make. Let me give you an example. I'm going to completely make this up. Let's suppose I didn't do my deal points and no-fly zones for my liquidity event. I never really thought about an earnout until it came from the other side. The buyer said, okay, Jeffrey, if you want to get X dollars for your company, you have to have an earnout. Now, I want you to imagine this. We're now in the due diligence period. The buyer has come back. They've put this out there. I haven't thought about this before. I have spent countless dollars and time to get to this point. The advisory team, my investment banker, the other side, their investment banker, all the lawyers are now putting pressure on me. Oh, Jeffrey, come on, just do the earn out. We can get the deal done. Now, my self-talk, I'm feeling tired. I'm exhausted. I just want to get this deal done. I can see we're right at the finish line. But if I'm not prepared, what am I telling myself? Well, you know what? Never really thought about this before. Yeah, I guess other people do it. If other people are doing it, it's probably okay for me to do it. Yeah, sure. I guess I should agree to the earnout and I'll just deal with it after the fact. I just want to get this deal done. Let me move forward. Let me sign the paperwork. Let's get that done. And once that was done, thankfully that never happened, but if that were to be done, only afterwards you didn't get the earnout. Oh my goodness, what did I do? I should not have done that. I was right at the finish line. I could have said no. I could have gone down a different path. So the lies that we talk to ourselves about, and you heard me say that, I was just making that up. You know what they are for yourself. Your team will know what they are. What you want to do, and this is strategy number 2, think about, I'm really tired. I feel exhausted physically and mentally. What do I tell myself just to have this go away? It's good enough. Everyone else is doing this. It doesn't need to be perfect. I'm going to get most of what I want. Those are the kinds of things we tell ourselves. Now, here's what I want you to do. Yourself, the team, whoever's going to be involved in the process, whether it be a liquidity event, whether it be onboarding a new client, renewing a client, you're doing a big ticket purchase, you and whoever else is involved with you, your significant other, your family, before you go into that negotiation or you're sitting down to talk with the other side, go through every person, write down what are the things that you're going to talk to yourself out of or into that you shouldn't be doing. And what's really important, whoever's going to be involved in the process, that each person on your side, on your team, writes out the self-talk, otherwise the lies that we tell ourselves, the self-talk ahead of time, that you're not doing this together. Maybe it'll take you 10 minutes, but maybe it'll take you 10 hours. It's really important that this gets done, and we don't want to get influenced by other people. We really want to go within and ask ourselves, okay, what's the self-talk that I tell myself when I get tired, or I just want to move on with it, or I want to give myself the justification of why I can walk away from the deal, even though it may be a really good deal. Now, once that's done, you and the team, whoever's going to be involved in the process, you sit down and you go around the circle. You can start, okay, team, here's the self-talk. Here's the lies that I tell myself. And I'm going to tell this to you, team, because if you hear me start to say these things, I want you to call me out during the process itself. And why you want to do this, again, with deal fatigue, it can just creep up on you. You may be in deal fatigue. You may not even know it. And if you have your team, they've heard this. They know what you'll say in a deal fatigue mode. Hey, Jeffrey, you know what? I think you're in deal fatigue. You're saying this, and I remember you said that when we had that meeting and we each went through the self-talk, aka the lies that we tell ourselves when we're in deal fatigue. Jeffrey, take a step back, and I want you to think about this. Are you in deal fatigue? How are you feeling? Where are you? Oh my goodness, yeah, you're right. So when we share the self-talk, aka the lies that we tell ourselves with the team, it's like a buddy system. We have each other's back when we're in the process. If we're hearing people say these things, oh, geez, that rings a bell. Yeah, Sally, she said that in that last meeting, that if she says this, she's definitely in deal fatigue. Oh my goodness, she's in deal fatigue. I'm going to pull her aside. I'm going to put a pause in the meeting. I'm going to talk with Sally and see what's going on. So when you do that, you're immunizing yourself against deal fatigue. The team is immunizing themselves against deal fatigue. And together, there's power in numbers. We're going to protect each other from deal fatigue. So that's strategy number 2. Know the stories that you and the team tell yourself when you're in deal fatigue. These are the justifications to do something that you really don't want to do. So now let's talk about strategy number 3. I'm going to take it from the perspective of a liquidity event where there's a buyer at the other side of the table. It just as easily could be something else on the personal side or on the client side, whatever it's going to be. But for strategy number 3, you want to understand the buyer tactics. Now, earlier in this episode, I mentioned we never really know if a person is going to deliberately try and put you into deal fatigue or not until you get to the deal table. Now, one of the things that we talk about in Deep Wealth Mastery is to do your due diligence on the other side. You want to do your research. You want to find out what they're all about, how they operate, how they are in negotiations. Do they deliberately try and put you in deal fatigue or not? And again, you can learn all of that. You never really know till you get there. You want to trust but verify. And so what you're looking for when you're looking at how the other side is responding, let me give you some examples of what deal fatigue will be. And I'm going to go on the business side, but I'm also going to throw a few examples in on the personal side. So on the business side, what would be some tactics that a buyer may try and do? They may ask for a lot of reports, many questions. and you are going through, it's a mountain load of questions that they've sent in an email or in a document. You're going through it. You give them the answers. You're so proud of you and your team. You're jumping through hoops to get this done because you know speed always wins. You give it to the other side. You have a sigh of relief and you think, finally, I'm done. And then lo and behold, 10 minutes later, you get a phone call, you get an email. There's even more questions. There's even more reports to go through. There's another mountain of tasks that the other side is doing. And this happens repeatedly. What the other side is doing is trying to wear you and the team down, get you physically exhausted, mentally exhausted, because often what they'll do is they'll give this mountain of a task list for you to do and put some very tight timelines around that, expecting you to do that, knowing that, hey, Jeffrey really wants to get this done. Let me put some pressure on. Let me see what's going on with that. By the way, I want to go back to strategy number 1, preparation. Preparation just isn't for deal points and no-fly zones. And again, step number 4, in the Deep Wealth 9-step roadmap, in our Deep Wealth Mastery program, preparation, step 4, we're doing the internal audit that we can eliminate a lot of this ahead of time. It's already in the data room. So when someone asks for that, you can say, hey, I already have that. Check it in the data room. Not going to answer that. That's already there. But I'm going down this rabbit hole. Let me get back to what we're talking about. So sometimes one of the tactics that the other side will do is ask all kinds of questions, have you answer them, you'll get them back to them, and then more questions are being asked. Or what will often happen is there might be delays from the other side. You're asking questions or you've responded and then you don't hear, and then all of a sudden you hear back from the other side, and then it's really a hurry up and wait. Days to hear back, and now they give you some feedback and they want the answers right away. Okay, let's get this tomorrow. We have to hear it right away. Or another tactic might be that, hey, I have to run this up the flagpole. Let me get back to you. And it's just exhausting. It's grueling. It's going back and forth, back and forth. It's not really going anywhere. And that's deliberate. You know, as I'm talking about this, I'm reminded of a time where I was purchasing something on the personal side and I was dealing with a salesperson, and the salesperson kept on saying, okay, I've got to run this by my manager. I don't know if I can do it. It's really out of my pay grade. Let me speak with the manager. And this kept on happening a number of times. And every time the person would go away, go to the manager, it would be a good 15, 20 minutes. Finally, knowing what was going on and that I was not going to go into deal fatigue, I said to the salesperson, hey, either I can speak directly with whoever the decision maker is, or I'm walking out that door right now. Because I knew what my no-fly zones were, I knew what my deal points were, and I was prepared to do that. I had other options, other choices, very happy to do that. Guess what happened? The games stopped. I spoke to the decision maker at that company and we figured things out. But there's all kinds of buyer tactics, but generally speaking, the tactics are to slow things down, to have you jump through a lot of hoops. When you recognize this, there's things that you can do, either through you or the team or the advisor team. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But you're looking for delays from the other side, and this is where they're trying to deliberately put you into deal fatigue. Or sometimes it's, okay, we have a deal, and you're thinking to yourself, great, we have a deal, and then it comes the but. But there's one more thing. Well, wait a minute. 20 bucks ago, you said we had a deal, and now this is the 21st item that you're talking about. It's excruciating. So again, it's those kinds of tactics, whatever the tactics are, and there's a whole encyclopedia on tactics of what the other side could do. But generally speaking, it's delays. It's getting your hopes up and then dashing your hopes. And that's really not a great situation, not where you want to be. And should that happen, remember, one of your deal points, one of your no-fly zones is to walk away. And that's why it's so important. When you don't have that, you're just caught up in this. You want to just finish this. You want to move on with it. And at least now you know what you want, what you don't want. You know the lies, otherwise known as stories, that you're telling yourself. You're understanding the tactics that the buyer or the other side may use to try and delay things, to slow things down, to tire you out physically and mentally. So let's now talk about one thing that you can do, whether it's in a liquidity event, whether it's with a client who's renewing a contract, or even bringing on board a new client. Here's one thing that you can prevent yourself from doing that's actually self-sabotage. And I see this happen all the time. And particularly in a liquidity event, you're creating projections ahead of time that some of those projections will take place during the liquidity event. Now, one of the tactics that the other side, that the buyer may use in a liquidity event, Jeffrey, wow, you have a terrific company here. You and your team are so smart. Look what you did your last quarter. Look at your growth rate. I bet you could probably at least double, maybe even triple that. What do you think, Jeffrey? Do you think you can do that? And now the buyer from the other side is goading me to say, yeah, you know what? I can at least double it, maybe even triple it, exactly like you're saying, because we're that great. And the buyer is saying, gotcha, Jeffrey, because now those projections that I'm going to create, they're not really attainable. And it's happening during the liquidity event. The projections aren't met. Guess what? The buyer is coming back and saying, Jeffrey, what happened? You said that you're going to triple, maybe double as a minimum, triple at the best, and that didn't happen. Actually, you actually fell short from what you did last quarter. Gee, I don't know. I don't know if this is worth going forward with. I have some confidence issues in the company. If I decide to move forward, wow, we're going to have to put some kind of penalty on here because enterprise value is going to suffer. So it was a trap that the buyer set all around performance and projections. And so whatever you do, when it comes to projections, you want to make sure that as a minimum, you're going to meet the projections. And it's a bit of a tightrope that you're doing here, because what the tightrope is, okay, do I put projections that are lower that I know I can definitely exceed? Now, when I put lower projections that may lower the enterprise value and there's no guarantee that the other side, in this case the buyer or the investor, is going to increase enterprise value after the fact? Or do I put projections that I should be able to meet without a problem, or do I try and go above and beyond? And so again, you don't want to go above and beyond if you know you can't make it. And you have to decide if you're really going to underpromise, overdeliver, or deliver on exactly what you promise. But whatever you do, and strategy number 4, it's an important one, you always want to make sure that as a minimum, you are meeting the projections that you're giving the other side. If you don't meet the projections, well, there's going to be delays. There's going to be frustrations on both sides. There's going to be banter back and forth of relooking at the deal. You're going to be kicking yourself. Why did I put those projections out there? You're going to be mentally wearing yourself down, physically wearing yourself down through the stress. It's where you don't want to be. So always ensure that you meet your projections. Okay, strategy number 5, to round things out, the dream team. You want to have the dream team. Now, we talk all about this in Step 6, Advisory Team in the Deep Wealth Mastery Program. There's more details and time itself to go into that. I'll put 2 things out there that you want to think about. The dream team, for your liquidity event specifically, there's an internal dream team, there's an external dream team. So for the internal dream team, these are your key employees. They're subject matter experts. They're going to be joining you to help you go through the process. They're really good at what they do. And you'll remember that if you go back to strategy 2, these are the same people that you're sharing the stories, otherwise known as the lies that we tell ourselves when we're in deal fatigue. So part of it is ensuring that you have world-class talent on your team, otherwise known as your employees, your team members, and very selectively, a few of them will come onto the advisory team with you. And then the external advisory team, these are the M&A advisors that you're bringing in on board. An investment banker, an M&A lawyer, a tax strategist. And in the case of an investment banker, we do a deep dive in the Deep Wealth Mastery Program of what to look for, because there's one investment banker that you don't want to have. Most investment bankers fall in that category. And there's definitely one type of investment banker that you must absolutely have. They're few and far between, but you want to bring that person on board. And not just with the investment banker, is with your entire advisory team. When you choose the right advisor, they're now part of your team, they can help protect you from going into deal fatigue. Let me give you an example. You have a world-class M&A lawyer. Now, the other side, the buyer, through the buyer's M&A lawyer, is putting a mountain load of requests your way. A really good M&A lawyer on your side that you've chosen is saying to the other side, hey, come on, this is ridiculous. You know, and I know these questions aren't relevant. I'm not going to have my client answered. You go back to your client, aka the buyer, and tell them that if they're serious about this deal, get rid of all of this and ask us what you really want. Otherwise, we're going to be moving forward. Or the investment banker is stepping into the other side and speaking to the investment banker on the other side. Hey, come on. What's your client trying to do here? This is ridiculous. Look at this list. We did this last time, answered it. You're now come back with a second list. This stops here today. If you want this deal to move forward, this has got to stop. Put this off to the side. We're not going to have it. And so your advisory team is really protecting you. They're speaking to the other side. They're doing this for you. It's not coming from you. It's coming from them. They can fall on the sword. They're the bad guys. You're the good one. And through them, this is where you can really reduce the pressures that can lead to deal fatigue. And I think of strategy 5, the dream team. I think of Maxwell Maltz's quote. I love this quote. When the team works, the dream works. And so you absolutely want to have the best world-class team around you. World-class advisors are doing everything that they can to help you navigate through the complexities of M&A, helping to keep you out of deal fatigue and working with you and the team to help you capture not just any deal, but the absolute best deal. So those are the top 5 strategies of what you can do to avoid deal fatigue. And I encourage you to practice this, whether it be on the personal side, whether it be on the business side. Practice makes perfect. Let me just do a quick recap of what the 5 strategies are. Step number 1, preparation. This is where, as far in advance as possible, you're you're writing out what you want, otherwise known as your deal points, and what you don't want, otherwise known as your no-fly zones, knowing that you'll walk away from the deal if you don't have your deal points or if there's some no-fly zones that are in there. Strategy number 2 is the stories that you tell yourself when you're in deal fatigue mode. You're writing all those out. You're having whoever's going to be part of the process with you on your team. They're doing the same thing. And then you're going to read out loud the stories that you're telling yourself. It's a narrative that you're telling yourself. Well, Jeffrey, everyone else is doing it. If everyone else is doing it, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. And you're going through that. And again, why we're doing this, there's strength in numbers. When we have our team, if they hear me say some things that I shared with them of, hey, I'm going to say this if I'm in deal fatigue mode, they'll give me the heads up. We can talk about it. They can catch me in deal fatigue mode, even though I may not recognize that I'm there. So strategy number 2, we're writing, sharing, and telling the stories that we tell ourselves when we're in deal fatigue mode, and we're having our team do that as well. Strategy number 3, we're looking out for and understanding the tactics that the other side will play. Yes, we've done our research, we've spoken to other people that have dealt with the other party, but we're also looking for things that can include delays, having us run through a lot of hoops, actions that cause us to really spend a lot of time and effort and even money to go through these requests that ultimately look to wear us down. And when we see that, we can stop the process, we can call it out, let the other side know, hey, we're smarter than that, we're not falling for that, not going to happen. If you want to do something with us, you better change up what's going on. Strategy number 4, creating projections that you can not only meet, hopefully you can even exceed. Again, we don't want to self-sabotage ourselves if there's going to be projections, and maybe it's not a liquidity event, by the way. Maybe you're speaking with a prospective client or an existing client, and they want to see some KPIs for the company for next week and for the week after that, or for the past 2 weeks. You better make sure that whatever it is, whatever those projections are, whether they're financial, whether they're KPIs, whatever it's going to be, that you create the projections that you can easily meet and exceed, because again, we're not going to self-sabotage ourselves to lose the deal by trying to really be the superhero in the moment, but then losing everything because we don't meet those projections. And then rounding things out, strategy 5, we're surrounding ourselves with the dream team of key employees, the dream team of advisors, because we know when the team works, the dream works. And so there you have it. That's what you can do to stop deal fatigue. And let me put it this way. Why is it important to do this in advance? Well, deal fatigue, let's talk about a liquidity event. Deal fatigue could be the only thing standing between you and financial security, your financial freedom. If you're in deal fatigue and you either lose a deal or you accept a deal that you otherwise shouldn't have, you wouldn't have done it in any other situation, that's not great when so much is on the line for your financial freedom. Or perhaps the liquidity event is years away. Maybe it's 20 years away, your liquidity event. You're not even thinking about that. Deal fatigue can ensure that you craft the best deals for client renewals, bringing on new clients. Or even on the personal side, it's a big ticket item. Do you want to have a situation where you're looking at the big ticket item and you're kicking yourself, geez, I shouldn't have bought it or I shouldn't have done it. It was the worst deal ever. Or you're looking at it and you're feeling great. Yeah, I always wanted this, and you know what? I got a terrific deal. I did everything right. So deal fatigue is so important that you prevent it, that you know what to do ahead of time. You now have 5 strategies from the trenches to help you do this. And when you do it right, when you know what to look for deal fatigue, you unlock your success that's waiting for you. By the way, does this mean that you'll never feel tired, that you won't go into deal fatigue? Of course not. What you are doing, though, is you're immunizing yourself against the likely suspects that could put you into deal fatigue and taking those off the table through your preparation. And at the same time, you're giving yourself and the team around you the heads up what to look for if either you're heading into deal fatigue or if you're already there, because awareness is everything. And deal fatigue is one of those things that we're not always aware of. So there you have it, strategies from the trenches. I want you to take those strategies to go out, thrive, and prosper, and really make a difference out there. I have a question for you. Are you walking away with this episode with a new strategy, a new insight that can help prevent you from getting into deal fatigue, that can help you capture the best deal, not just any deal? And I really hope your answer is yes, because if it is, I want you to consider the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery Program, otherwise known as the Scale for Ultimate Sale Program. This is the only program that comes from a 9-figure deal. We took all the strategies from my 9-figure deal and put that into the Deep Wealth Mastery Program. By the way, the strategies where I dropped the ball or I didn't do or I simply failed in, all those were reverse engineered and also put into the program. Imagine a program that's been meticulously designed for business owners, entrepreneurs, founders, wherever you are in your business, whether you're a startup or you're a well-entrenched business, that this program can skyrocket your business profits, increase the value of your business, and prepare you for life after the liquidity event. And whether your liquidity event is 2 years away or 20 years away, it doesn't make a difference because it's that preparation. You're doing triple duty. You're preparing for growing your profits, increasing the enterprise value of your business, and your post-exit life. Don't take it from me. I want to read you 2 testimonials. William S. came along and said, a company that is attractive to sell is a great one to own. The Deep Wealth Mastery Program gives me the best of all worlds. And here's another one from Leon G. Leon says, I've had transaction experience coming into the Deep Wealth Program. What I've learned and the strategic insights I've gained has forever changed how I run my business. The workbooks are world-class and had connected the dots that changed for the better the trajectory of my business. So there you have it. 2 fellow entrepreneurs who, by the way, they were on the sidelines. Going into Deep Wealth Mastery, they had all kinds of questions. And when we were speaking with them, we heard things like, I don't know if I have the time right now. Or does it make sense from a capital perspective to do this instead of doing another project within the company? But when we walked them through it, when they understood that their financial freedom, their financial independence, wherever that may be, whether that's 5 years from now or 25 years from now, that today is the best day. That saying, I'll do this tomorrow doesn't make sense because there is no tomorrow. We're only going to be busier tomorrow. More things are going to be happening. That now is the best time. You heard it from them. They really enjoyed it. And all you need to do, send us an email to success@deepwealth.com. success@deepwealth.com. Send us that email. We'll go through what Deep Wealth Mastery, otherwise known as the Scale for Ultimate Sales System is. And again, whether your liquidity event is 20 years away or 2 years away, we focus on growing your profits today, preparing for that liquidity event whenever that may be, and optimizing your post-exit life. It doesn't get any better. This system is the only system coming from a 9-figure deal, and it's from the trenches. It works. Success@deepwealth.com. And as we wrap this up, I have one last question for you. One last ask. It's actually more of a personal favor. My question is, did you find this episode helpful? Have you found other episodes of the Deep Wealth Podcast helpful for you, empowering, a game changer for your entrepreneurial journey? And if you said yes, and once again, I'm hoping you said yes, I have a small but really meaningful way that you can actually help us keep these episodes coming to you. Are you ready for it? Subscribe. Please subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast on your favorite podcast channel. When you subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast, you're saving yourself time. Every episode automatically comes to you, and I want you to know that we meticulously craft every one of our episodes to have impactful strategies, stories, expert insights that are all designed to help you grow your profits, increase the value of your business, and yes, even optimize your post-exit life whenever that may be. And every time you subscribe and a fellow entrepreneur subscribes, it's a testament to how together we're changing the social fabric of society. One business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. So don't let the momentum stop here. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast channel. You'll never miss an episode. You'll be the first to hear from the top industry leaders, the innovators, the disruptors that are really changing and shaping the business world. And maybe you're commuting, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're taking a well-deserved break. The Deep Wealth Podcast is your reliable source for the next big idea that could literally revolutionize your business. So once again, please hit that subscribe button, stay connected, inspired, and ahead of the curve. And again, your next breakthrough moment, it might just be one episode away. Maybe it was even this episode. So that said, thank you so much for listening. And remember, your wealth isn't just about the money in the bank. It's about the depth of your journey and the impact that you're creating. Let's continue this journey together. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much, and God bless.